build something undeniable. Something
Important.
iconic.
If you would like to watch my live streams and come and interact, make sure you check out the links down below for my other YouTube channel and my Twitch. Also my Patreon if you would like to see more content that you haven't seen if you haven't joined.
Dr. Hartman violated me. He took my innocence.
What? Peter, that's a prostate exam.
Today I'm going to be reacting to More Critical Drinker on Ironheart.
Remember back in school when you had to do some class presentation, only when it got to the day and the other kids started doing theirs, you realised you'd totally misunderstood the assignment and done something completely wrong, so your only option was to hide at the back of the class and just hope against hope that the teacher would forget about you and let you off the hook? Well, that's basically Ironheart for you, a TV show commissioned 5 years ago when the whole let's swap out beloved legacy characters for diverse new alternatives craze was at its obnoxious peak in the MCU, based around a particularly unpopular comic book character from arguably the least successful era of Marvel Comics ever, who did nothing but ride the coattails of her far more popular male predecessor, only with none of his charm, likability, flaws, or character development. It was a show that was basically outdated and obsolete before it was even released, lumbered with a main character that nobody liked or wanted, and the fact that the past several years have been nothing but a slow-moving train wreck for the MCU gradually eroded the fan patience and goodwill that might have allowed a show like Ironheart to scrape by. Marvel knew this all too well, and they also knew there was no way to fix or avoid the problem, so they did what we all did in that school classroom decades earlier. They went silent and tried to hide, doing their best to bury Ironheart and hope that people would eventually just forget about it and leave them alone.
It's a bold strategy, Cotton. Let's see if it pays off for them.
Well, it turns out you can...
I've never seen that movie or whatever it's from, but it's a bold strategy, Cotton. Let's see if it pays off for them is the perfect thing to place here. Yeah, didn't even know that it existed, so, you know, from an unbiased standpoint, they kind of did a good job, technically. But no, what's gonna happen whenever you release the movie, obviously, so that's like really awkward. And so interesting that it would have been started and kind of was pushed forward when all of this was maybe cool and not overdone, but along with everything else in the last few years being done and such negative feedback from it, it's kind of weird to put this out now because it feels so like 2018 when this message was really, I don't know exactly when it was or where to place it, but it just already feels dated.
It turns out you can only hide for so long when you've got hundreds of millions of dollars invested and a contractual obligation to release it sooner or later. So, over the past couple of days, the creaky old Marvel PR machine reluctantly rumbled into action once more, desperately trying to drum up some kind of enthusiasm around the show with barely a month to go before it releases. And today, we got the first official trailer. Are you ready? I'm not sure I am. No offense, man, but I'm not exactly sure that's a selling point. Damn, man, she looks about as excited as I feel.
In less than 3 minutes, the air in this elevator will no longer be breathable.
Must have been taco night, I guess. It's okay though, Riri's got a highly technical solution.
Screw this.
Fuck. I heard Riri Williams was a genius.
Aye, it takes a real genius to force an elevator door open.
Riri, I see you. I see you're fed up, waiting to be acknowledged for your greatness.
Pull your tongue out of my arsehole, Gary. Dogs do that. You're not a dog, are you, Gary?
I want to build something undeniable. Something
Important.
iconic.
What, you mean like the thing that Tony Stark already built like 20 years earlier? The gist here is that Hooded Justice, or whatever the f this guy's called, offers to give Riri the resources and money she needs to construct her new suit of armor, on the condition that she helps him in return. I'm sure that won't have negative consequences.
You've bitten off a hell of a lot more than you can chew. I could chew a lot.
I hate so much about the things that you choose to be.
I can eat a lot, actually. Like, what is that? Why do you... Oh, gosh, you're so cool, because you're a girl who can eat. Like, why is it like that? it just kind of seems like all of the jokes that Marvel didn't put into the older movies that actually did well, when they were trying to do like that Marvel humor, they're like, look, we can't make every line a joke, so unfortunately we do actually have to drop some of these one line, like, ha, everyone has the same personality. Like, I don't know what to call it, but it started getting more obvious as the movies went on. Still enjoyed them personally, but you could kind of start seeing it like, oh, okay, they're doing a bit more in like the Marvel movies, because then you start seeing that the characters still did a good job at having like diverse personalities, but those Marvel jokes or like one-liners at the end of something right before somebody gets punched in the face or something blows up in the background, um, it still balanced it, because Spider-Man would do it, but he still kind of sounded like a kid, because he is a kid. He's like a 15-year-old. So it was like, oh, okay, but that humor sounds like childish. And Tony Stark's humor sounds kind of like a little bit egotistical, which he is a little, so it's nice. He's a little narcissistic. It was good for his character. His character was likable. But now it's like those one-liners that you could give any character, and they're just so bad because they're so corny, so cheesy, and you could place them on anybody. It doesn't really have to be someone's personality. It's just like this edgy, whatever it is, it's so distasteful. Also love that it was supposed to be a powerful line, like, oh my gosh, you want to build something extraordinary? No, I want to build something, and then there's that dramatic pause. Iconic. And it's like, this is Iron Man. It's called Ironheart. It's in the name. Half the name's not even yours.
And of course, no MCU production would be complete without the patented Marvel humor.
Would a
It's the
shady
Marv-
bunker have that on the wall?
Oh,
It's literally above a crate of self-guided missiles.
I'm returning those.
And if all of this isn't a sign of how little confidence they have in this thing, then check out these comments from the producers.
A lot of people think that she's a successor to the Iron Man legacy. But in the comic book, Riri and Tony had a friendship, and eventually she got her own identity.
The story of Ironheart is not a story about the mantle of Iron Man getting passed. If anything, it's the opposite.
You sit on a throne of lies.
Spot the recurring theme here? The one thing they keep desperately trying to hammer home is that Riri Williams isn't just some cheap, lazy DEI replacement for Tony Stark. No sir, she's her own woman with her own personality, and definitely someone you should be excited to see on screen.
I don't think that's true.
Now, call me a crazy drunkard if you like, many people have, but Marvel might have avoided accusations like this if her entire character and backstory wasn't an insecure attempt to one-up Tony Stark in every possible way. Instead of a rich but deeply flawed playboy with a talent for engineering developed over decades of research who constructs an armored suit out of sheer necessity to help him escape from captivity, Riri is a genius teenage tech protege who probably taught herself how to build quantum megacomputers out of Play-Doh and old Nintendo consoles when she was still just a fetus. Because truly, if there's one thing the MCU needs more of, it's obnoxious teenage girls that are inexplicably amazing at technology.
Why didn't you just reprogram the synapses to work collectively?
Because we didn't think of it?
I'm sure you did your best.
God damn, is that bitch on the rag or what?
Like, it hurts the idea of having characters that are likable and could do well that are women when you force feed success and brains and all of this glory in like the very first introduction of a book, movie, whatever you're trying to sell to somebody, and they just have it all immediately. First of all, no character development, and I'm not invested because I didn't even see them work for it. Tony Stark had flaws. And so if you could walk into this and see, wow, I'm like him, or you could walk into it and say, wow, I used to know someone like him and he's awful. Any different angle, he becomes likable as a person. Whether you've, from the beginning, related to him as a guy who feels like he's a genius and misunderstood and playboy, whatever, or someone who might just think, oh, he's kind of off-putting and he's egotistical. You start seeing him go through humility and, wow, I really shouldn't do this. Money isn't the only thing that matters. Sleeping around with women is the only thing that matters. He discovers that he loves Pepper Potts and he's loyal to her. He discovers that money isn't everything and like the weapons of mass destruction is kind of a problem. and him having to escape and going through his life actually being threatened, you're gonna reevaluate your life and your morals. But it's as if they don't want to give any flaws and character development to a female or a woman. She's just already perfect and has no flaws, and you better like her. And nobody likes that.
God damn, is that bitch on the rag or what?
Even Dominique Thorne, the actress playing Riri Williams, really wanted to cement the idea that this wasn't some lame attempt to exploit the legacy of Iron Man. In fact, according to her Trust Me Bro source, Robert Downey Jr. himself even descended from the heavens to this mortal plane to give her his blessing. As if that counts for anything, he's a actor, not the God Emperor of the MCU. Anyway, Robert Downey Jr. and I spoke after we wrapped, and he shared some very lovely words about my journey. Come on! Your journey? You've literally been in one movie at this point. A movie so forgettable that most people can't even remember you were in it. That's not a journey, that's a weekend staycation in Grimsby. He told me how excited he was and that he's rooting for it too. I literally got 2 thumbs up. It's really reassuring to know that you're not embarrassing Iron Man.
Well, if it's not just a ripoff of Iron Man, then why do you need his approval? Oh, I'm sorry, the actor's approval. Which, first of all, is a huge difference. You're not asking Tony Stark yourself. That's a character, and he didn't write the character. The person who wrote the character isn't even here, so you can't actually really have, like, affirmation from anybody who would be a source of what they think that you're doing. But it's also not fully her fault either, because she didn't write this character, and she didn't write the movie. She's just an actress accepting a role, and good for her. I mean, she's not a bad person for that. But it is interesting that everybody who's responsible for this has to keep turning to, oh, and by the way, this has nothing to do with Iron Man. It's called Ironheart, and there's a suit, and what? It would be so much better, a better selling tactic to just own up to it and say, yeah, we thought that this would be really cool at the beginning. We kind of realized that it's a little bit like this, but just think of it as like a totem pass, because, you know, wouldn't you like that more than Tony Stark miraculously coming back? Because that just has, oh wow, there's really no consequences to somebody dying. Yeah, it should be passed along rather than somebody coming back to life. Some people think that it should just die, which is also good storytelling.
She also couldn't help adding that Riri is just so much better and smarter and more resourceful than Tony ever was, because of course she is. She's dumpster diving, whereas Tony Stark was this bajillionaire.
Yes.
What she's able to accomplish is remarkable. Oh, really?
Tony Stark was.
Nope, I'm not doing it. I'm not replaying that same fucking clip that everyone's using to respond to this, but you do get the point here. Tony's wealth and resources counted for absolutely nothing when he was imprisoned in that cave in Afghanistan. In fact, I'd argue that he had even less resources to work with than Riri, because she had all the time in the world to design and refine her suit, whereas he was forced to cobble his together against the clock, with armed terrorists watching his every move. But hey, why let facts and reality get in the way when there's a narrative that needs spinning? Unfortunately, by waiting until the 11th hour to actually spin it, Marvel have completely lost control of the narrative around this show, and people can now see it for exactly what it is. A cheap, lazy, and pandering attempt to exploit the legacy and coolness of one of the MCU's most popular characters, born from the hubris of a different era when Marvel believed they could do no wrong, and reluctantly sharted out half a decade later into a time when they seemingly can't do anything right. A show that even the creators seem embarrassed and afraid to release, and if the trailer's anything to go by, they probably should be. Anyway, that's all I've got for today. Go away now.
No, this isn't about Spider-Man, but it just seems so silly that even to say in a comparison, well, she dumpster dived, where, you know, Tony Stark was a billionaire philanthropist.
Genius, billionaire, playboy, philanthropist.
Who had an inventor father already, so the genius and him being taught has been passed down, supposedly, and he has all the money at his fingertips. The whole point of Iron Man being built wasn't because he invented it because of his father or because he had all of this money. It's quite literally, like Critical Drinker already said, it was because he was trapped in a cave and couldn't even have access to dumpster diving and this cute little laptop and your school projects. He was in a cave with some things and weapons that he's designed before, but had to scramble to put that together. Like, that's it, in a cave. Clearly less access than you, under a lot more stress for his life. So the comparison is still actually really weird and sad because his first actual suit was built with less than what you've built it with, so the comparison just doesn't make any sense. Also, even again, outside of that, I know this has nothing to do with Spider-Man, but in multiple different versions of Spider-Man, I'll just use 2 and not all 3 because that's way too much. That's what they did to build their suits. Like Spider-Man in this universe with Tony Stark, he built his webbing and those little like shooty machine thingies, spiderweb, whatever, out of stuff that he dumpster dived for. There's even a scene whenever he's first introduced coming home with like a DVD player that he found in the trash, and he's going to use it for parts to make more little machinery and stuff. And even Spider-Man, people even then had enough reality check to know, oh, well, Tony Stark would probably have to be the one who actually builds him like a suit that is flexible in a certain way, that has his eyes like tech and open and close a certain way. Because even Spider-Man, because he's a 15-year-old kid who's as intelligent as he is, can't really make a suit much out of like spandex and goggles. But yeah, that's it. Probably sounds like a rant, but it sounds like vomit in a blender. So good for them. Seems like Disney / Marvel's hobby lately is to just throw money away. Not sure if they're gonna turn back from it or make anything that can go to what Marvel used to be. Probably just has to let it die. It might have just been like a 10-year long thing that was really great for what it was, but maybe moving on to a different genre that's really popular soon. And yeah, that's it. If you haven't already, make sure you go and check out Critical Drinker's channel because that's where the video comes from. Also, like and subscribe to mine. Go check out all my links. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you all next time.